Hey everybody, welcome to Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Case, and I'm on a mission to help you. Every week, we're going to be talking to local business owners and experts to get their best tips, tricks, and hacks to grow your business. This show is designed to teach you, inspire you, and motivate you to take massive action and start to build your future-proof business. Whether you're just starting off or you're taking your existing business to the next level, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Hey, local business hackers. I'm your host, Director of Global Business Development for Referrizer, joined today by our second Outlaw FitCamp guest, CEO Tiffany Leyva. Tiffany, welcome to Local Business Hacks.
Thanks for having me, Carl. I'm excited to be with you.
Jesse's episode was a knockout the park, and I'm beyond excited to have the second half of you guys over here. I didn't want to say that, but yes, I agree. Let's dive right in. Talk to me about you and your journey to get to this point in your career.
Well, it was not a smooth journey, and it was not even a planned journey, but here we are. It's a fun journey. So it started back in 2011. I actually spent 17 years as a hairstylist, and I had my own salon. Found Jesse because I decided that I wanted to compete. It was a bucket list item for me, bodybuilding competition. And I had an uncle at the time who was only 46 and was passing away from cancer. And I had just lost weight on my own. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do this for my uncle and help me get through the grieving process. And I went and looked online and I found Jesse. There's an ad of him just pointing like, are you ready to take your life to the next level? So one phone call away, and I started training with him in 2010. At that time, my business was really exploding with hair, and I needed an assistant, or I was looking at maybe opening a salon. And ironically, at the same time, his studio was expanding, and next to him was a hair salon. So I really was inspired by him as a trainer. He was a very knowledgeable trainer, but also a very knowledgeable businessman. And we became friends over the course of a year. I would ask him a lot of questions about just business stuff. And he found out I was looking for a space to move my hair salon and asked if I wanted to take over the shampoo room of the salon that he was expanding into. So in 2011, March, I opened up my hair salon inside of Jesse James Fit. So it was a whole wellness studio where we would do like personal training, massage, spa, hair salon. And that's kind of how we got started together in business. Then through that, we ended up dating and now married. In fact, 2015, he opened a gym and we signed our marriage documents on the same day. Fun fact. So at that point, he was ready to start expanding with multiple locations and playing with the idea of franchising. And he spoke to me about it. I eventually got my personal training certification too, and I was doing that on the side because I became real passionate about it. I did really good on my first competition, and 2013 placed third in the United States at the USA's.
Woo!
Yeah, who'd have known? It was just a bucket list item, and then for 4 straight years, I competed underneath his guidance. So he talked to me about this idea of franchising, and of course, as any spouse would be, I was supportive of it. But it wasn't until 2017 I started taking more of a role in the company, and I started pulling back on hair. My body, after so many years of doing hair, was starting to, aches, pains, and bending over the shampoo bowl. And there was much more of a need and a pull for me to start helping with Outlaw FitCamp. And then we started franchising initially in 2019. And so that's when I took full position in the company. As I started as the brand manager. And then he promoted me to the CEO. So here we are today.
Incredible. What a journey and what a beautiful story. And great job, Jesse, on pulling that trigger on dating your now wife. That's awesome. For those people that didn't get a glimpse of Jesse's episode, and if you guys haven't listened to it or watched it, definitely go check it out. Jesse's the man. What is Outlaw FitCamp? How can people get involved? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, so behind me is a little bit of an older picture, but Outlaw FitCamp is group fitness and personal training. Jesse is the founder and has been in the space for 30 plus years. We also have another partner who's spent about 20 years in the fitness space. And he still personal trains today, just a little bit, but it's what he's best at. And we took a lot of what we would do in the competing world, because he did work with a lot of athletes, and brought that into Outlaw FitCamp through some of our nutrition guidance and just the different modalities of how we train. Our fit camps are 30 minutes long, and you can book as a client on the app and just show up and take your class. We break it down by muscle group, Monday through Saturday, different body groups of the day. And then personal training, we do one-on-one, couples, and small groups. So nobody's left behind. There's a lot of people that can't do the fitness classes. And so for those people, we are able to serve them in a more intimate way.
Amazing. And where are you guys located today? What's website? How can people take action?
Yeah, we're based in Dallas, Texas. We have 6 locations here. You can visit outlawfitcamp.com for the brand site, or if you're interested in opening a studio or finding out what that takes, you can go to ofcfranchise.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Tiffany. Transitioning immediately into your local business hacks, and hey fam, get ready to listen to some winners, because I'm excited.
Yeah, it's been a journey, like I mentioned. I've been alongside him now since 2010. Was it 2013? So 2023. I'm getting old. It's been quite some time. So there's some lessons that have been learned. I would say be organized. It's the best thing you can do for your business. It's one of the hardest things, I think, for businesses to do, but being organized, it saves you a world of trouble and expense too. I love that. I love that when we're working with people, I can get them documents or whatever they need in a matter of one day instead of months. You try to scrambling and finding important stuff, you're going to need it. So I would say being organized is really key. Delegate and empower others to lead in your company. If you're a type A, sometimes that's a little hard. Me and Jesse are both type A and we're both fighters, but we also understand the need for help and how much nicer it is when you have it. It's also really beautiful when you are able to empower your staff to step up to the plate with their creativity and their ideas, because it's going to be different than what you would come to the table with. And then sometimes they have better ideas than you can come up with yourself. So I would say empower them and delegate. Also, you share group effort and passion for the brand, and it just creates more unity too. Make data-driven decisions, but first be able to track and measure your stats. When you're thinking about your business, you're going to need to know how to make decisions in your business. And my big portion I work on is the brand in itself and some marketing. And we need to know if our marketing strategies work. We need to know, how do we want to improve? What campaigns do we want to run? How do we make those decisions if we don't have data to go by? So always make sure that you, either if you're working with a company, you have access to those records and you can have those conversations and make intelligent decisions based off data. Give back. Always show your gratitude for your members and your staff. We're all here in this world trying to get to the end goal, but it's not fun doing it by yourself, and you can't do it by yourself. So it's been really rewarding being able to help some of our staff buy their first car, get into a house. We have a lady who works with us who she actually was hit by a drunk driver, and she lost, I think, 400 pounds. I think Jesse might have mentioned her on the podcast with you last, but we helped her get a full knee reconstruction surgery, and she's been training at our studio ever since. And now she pays it forward by changing lives too. It's really cool.
It's incredible.
Yep. Believe you can, and you will. Surround yourselves with others that inspire you, advise you, and have been through it before you have. Why make life harder? Try to figure it out on your own when you can have mentors. I think having a mentor is really important. I'm very fortunate to have a few that I call on when I need just to bounce some ideas off or see if they've been through that and how they saw it through. It's very helpful instead of trying to go at it alone, because as we all know, business ownership can be very lonely sometimes. So finding yourself a good mentor is key. I got a few more here. So you got to make difficult decisions. This one's one of the necessary evils, but you have to. And you have to stand firm on your standards for your company brand and betterment for the organization. So an example would be, if you have a bad apple, you have to let them go. We talked about, I know Justin talked about that with you, but it's just so important, because once that corrosion starts happening, you can't stop it. And you have to do what's right for the company and the brand that you envisioned when you started, or else you'll lose sight of what you're building.
We go by at Referrizer, slow to hire, quick to fire, and no jerks allowed.
No, I like that. No jerks allowed. Yes. That should be a core value on your wall, huh?
Yeah.
This one is a woman in business. Don't worry about what others may think of you, especially if they're not in your shoes. It's easy for women to feel heat and judgment and even be called names for standing in the roles. I felt it, and it happens. And if you're doing what you think is right for the company and you're thinking of others and you're standing firm, you're going to get called names, but it's just part of the job.
I can imagine that comes in twofold. Also, being the wife of the founder. I remember growing up, my dad was a caterer my whole life, and I was always called Junior. And I wore every hat in the business at 14 and 15 years old, bussing tables, being a banquet captain, and nobody took me serious. And then one day, I think it was like right after my 16th birthday, I was hustling like I'd never worked in my life. And someone wanted to talk down to me. And I was like, listen, buddy, I work harder than I think you have the capacity to. If you want to talk garbage to me, get out the building. And he's like, you don't have the authority to do that. And I said, watch. And, it's empowering to respect yourself and know that, know who you are.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough one. I think women feel it sometimes when you're in an executive role. You feel it. My favorite is when I get asked, what is your role? CEO, Outlaw FitCamp franchise. What? Franchise? And they try to understand what is a franchise. No, we own a franchise. And I have to say it 2 more times for them to really get it. It's like, no, I am young, yes, but it's happening. And then the last one is know and understand what goes into each task in your company. I have touched everything. You don't have to master everything. You don't have to do everything, but you should know and understand as much as possible. Because you don't get taken advantage that way. Like there was a point when we had, I think, 4 different websites and it was just costing a ridiculous amount of money. And I got so tired of being charged like $800 to change a button. So I learned how to get into our website and do that ourselves. And now we outsource that, but you don't get take advantage of as much when you know a little bit more of the ins and outs of the business.
Having a pulse on things is very important, even if it's not something that you look at every day, but just nowadays you hit the nail on the head with data-driven decisions. Luckily in 2023 and in the future, we have the accessibility of having dashboards that can report these things to us instantaneously. But that's sometimes a very challenging place to be, is getting all of that data centralized and looking at historical data since 2010 and since then, because our data is a little skewed since COVID. But yeah, it's awesome to have a pulse and to ultimately know what everybody's doing and potentially how can you make it better.
Yeah, and as an entrepreneur, there's been many times you just feel like you're constantly climbing this mountain and you never take a step back to look and see how far have you come, but data will help you. There's been times that we've just looked at data and we're like, wow, we need to probably be proud of where we're at because we've come a long way. Or you can even take the data and use it to challenge. We do with our franchisees, we run little mini challenges a lot. So it helps with culture.
Oh, yeah.
So there's so much that can be done with being organized and having the right data.
That's awesome. Tiffany, thank you for these incredible hacks. I love that. I have a feeling if we had this conversation a year ago or maybe even a month ago, they would have been completely different. So it's amazing that they're always evolving. And I think the one that really hits home for me is to ask for help. And I love being the dumbest person in the room or the least educated, because that means that I can practice my sponge abilities. And why do we pay consultants an exorbitant amount of money typically? Because we want to learn what they learned over 30 years in 1 hour. And what is that really going to cost us if we wait to not know those things? And it's incredible. So congrats to you. And it's a testament to the brand. I'd love to know from your opinion, why Outlaw FitCamp, if I was looking to open a fitness-based franchise?
Oh, why? There's many reasons, but I would say the most important ones that stand out to me is the brand is fun. It's a fun brand. That's number one. It's something that people love and enjoy. It's kind of like Harley Davidson meets fitness. We're not just a woman centric, we're men centric. You walk into our studio and you see young, old, and in between. So that's really not something you see when you go somewhere else. We fill the gap in the marketplace. Not everybody, like I said, can do the group fitness. Also, a lot of the group fitness today, you get lost in a crowd. This is a little bit more of an intimate setting. And I know for our personal trainers, they enjoy it because that's what they do best as personal trainers. They love working and helping with people. And so they can do it in a small group setting or individually one-on-one. And the multi-streams of revenue is definitely key for the financial part. It's not a 3 membership type of business. We have an array of memberships that help meet the consumer's budget where they are.
Awesome. Being CEO, what would you say was one of your toughest hires? And what did you look for in that person, or what did you look not for?
I'm actually glad you asked this. And Deidre, when you see this, you can give me a big hug later.
Yeah, Deidre!
Deidre, I'm sure you've met her. Oh man, she is family. That girl is family. But we needed an operations director, somebody who really worked underneath the executives like Jesse initially, and now she really works closely with me and Jesse. We had 160 applicants for that position. And me and Jesse had to pick. And I won. I won that decision, and he'll never live it down because she is amazing to this day. She's going to retire with us. She's one of the ones that we were able to help get into some housing with her. She's a single mom, impressive woman. I think the important thing when hiring is for us, it's looking at character, because the kind of business we have is very relationship driven, people driven. So I want to make sure this person is a team player, easy to work with, and also can serve the clients. That's number one. But she has just been so moldable and has worked her way into this position. It wasn't always the way initially when we hired her, but she's been with us, I think, 4 or 5 years. That was a great hire. I love her to death.
Hire what you can't teach.
Yeah, you can teach skill, but you cannot teach character. So,
oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Tiffany, what's your most exciting part about coming to work each day?
We see so many fun stories. I love the client stories. That's why we wake up and do this every day. And it's, man, some of them will make you cry. Some of them will just make you proud. We see it all kinds of stuff. You have a grandma and her grandkids working out. We have amputees. Seeing our trainers even being able to help these people overcome. So that's been our why the whole time. And now we get to do it on a bigger scale with the franchise. I've always loved the client stories, but now I'm loving the franchise stories, helping the clients. And it's pretty rewarding.
So spiritually, emotionally fulfilling, and no 2 days are even close to the same.
Never, no. Mm-mm.
That's awesome. It's awesome. Outlaw FitCamp people. Tiffany, before we wrap up, I got to ask you my favorite question. If you were going to have dinner with a historical figure from the past, who would it be? What are you talking about? And obviously, what are you eating?
Historical figure, Marilyn Monroe. Just because her presence and in her time, she was such a icon. And then, of course, that's part of my beauty background. I don't know, I'd have some questions for her. Probably some Italian. I love Italian food, a glass of wine.
Awesome. I have a Marilyn Monroe painting in my house. I think she's definitely an icon, to say the least.
Yep.
That's incredible. Tiffany, what's the best way for people to get connected with you personally?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Tiffany Leyva, and all the other social channels, really, Tiffany Leyva, Facebook, Instagram. And then we shared the websites. I'll do that again, outlawfitcamp.com and ofcfranchise.com.
Incredible. Tiffany, so excited to have you on here and to follow your journey. Congrats on molding thousands of people over these years, both in the beauty space and now in the wellness and emotional world. Congrats. We're so blessed to be a part of this journey.
Thank you for having me, Carl. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it helpful. Be sure to head over to our site, local-business-hacks.com, to check out the show notes and send me questions or ideas for future episodes. If you want to grow your business, just like the people you've heard from here, follow Local Business Hacks Podcast and tune in for new tips, tricks, and tactics. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep hacking.